Your screen shows you what's directly in front of you. Everything else, behind you, above you, that flank from the left, that's audio. It's the only sense that covers the full space around you. And right now, most of you have 3 or 4 software layers between your game and your ears that are fighting each other. Your game calculates perfect 3D sound, then Windows, your headset software, and your EQ destroy it before you hear anything. And today I'm fixing 5 things in your audio chain. So by the end of this video, your footstep detection is completely different. And the first one is the setting that's doing the most damage without you even knowing it exists. Now before you even open your game, Windows is processing your audio, and depending on your setup, some of it might be working against you. Now every competitive shooter audio outputs at 48,000 Hz, and some setups default to 44,100, especially older drivers or external audio devices built for music. The signal gets resampled and your positional cues take a hit. So in order to check it, go to Settings, System, Sound, click your output device, and you should set this to 48,000 Hz. And the highest bit depth your device supports. 24 or 32, both are fine. Now 48,000 is the number that matters. If you're already there, just move on. Next, go to audio enhancements. If you see the drop down in your output device settings, set it to off. This is where motherboard vendors like Realtek sneak in EQ, compression, room correction, all sitting between your game and your ears, interfering with spatial processing the game is already handling for you. Now if you have like an external DAC and don't even see this option, that's actually kinda good. Your DAC is bypassing that layer entirely. Next is the one that actually costs people gunfights. It's in the same path, your output device settings, scroll down and you should see spatial audio drop down. It should be something like Windows Sonic or Dolby Atmos. If you're playing any game with built-in 3D audio, and every major competitive shooter in 2026 has this by the way, this needs to stay off. Now these games calculate where every sound sits around your head. Distance, elevation, direction. If Windows Sonic or Dolby Atmos is always on, Windows takes that finished signal and runs a second spatial algorithm over it. Now you will have two systems positioning the same sound with different math. And of course they will have a conflict. Now footstep the game placed at like 7 o'clock gets smeared or shifted by the other stuff. Next let's move to the game itself. And instead of just copying someone's setting screenshot, here is how to think about in-game audio in any shooter so you actually understand what you're changing. Now sound effect volume as high as possible. Music as low as possible, of course, unless it gives you like some sound cues that help you a lot in the game. Now music sits in the same frequency range as footsteps and masks them basically. Now if your game gives you a mix or dynamic range option, pick headphones or low dynamic range. This compresses the gap between quiet and loud. Footsteps come up, explosions come down. Also avoid like cinematic or like home theater mixes. Those are like built to make explosion dramatic, which buries the sound you actually need. And like I said, some games go deeper with audio controls. CS2 gives you like EQ profiles, stereo separation sliders, perspective correction. And if you play CS2, I pull data from over 30 pro settings and I'll put the breakdown with recommended starting points on screen right now. Test from there and adjust to what sounds right on your setup, of course. And I say this because with every game it depends a lot on the game itself, but you should always play around and prioritize whatever gives you an actual advantage. And next let's go to the part that makes everyone wanna skip it and they're just too afraid of it. And I'm talking about EQ. Now usually people skip this part because they think EQ like is way too complicated. So let me just save you the confusion with the best settings that I could find. Now footsteps in every game like Valorant, CS2, Fortnite, Apex doesn't matter. Live in 3 frequency zones. A body hitting a surface produces sound in predictable ranges regardless of what engine renders it. 150 to 450 Hz is the body of the footsteps. 1K to 3.5K Hz is the surface textures like gravel, wood, metal, concrete. This is how you tell what floor someone is on. Now 4 to 5K Hz is the edge. Reload clicks, that sharp attack of steps on a hard surface basically. Now if you boost those zones by a few decibels, footsteps pop out of the mix without making everything loud. And that means you can actually play at lower volume and hear more than someone with their master at like 100 who's boosting nothing. Now one of the tools that I use for this is called Equalizer APO, and of course you get it with Beats GUI. Both are free, work with any headphone or IM. Now when you open Beats for the first time it looks kinda intimidating, a bunch like of slider and frequency numbers. You only need to touch 3 sliders in my opinion. Find the first one around like 333 Hz and push it up around like 4 dB. Find next the 2000 Hz one, push it about 3 dB. And then find the 4000 Hz one and push it up by 2 dB. Everything else can stay the same. And if you don't want to do this manually, SteelSeries Sonar is free. And it works with any headset and has like over 200 game specific presets built by audio engineers. Make an account, select your game and it applies the tuned EQ automatically. Of course these are just like starting values, they're not like the best ones. Every headphone and IMs respond differently basically. If 333 Hz at 4 decibels feels too boomy on your setup, drop it to like 3 or 2. If 4000 at 2 isn't crispy enough, push it to 3. The zones are universal, the exact dB depends on your hardware though. So spend like 10 minutes in deathmatch switching between flat and your game gaming EQ, and you'll hear the difference immediately and you know which values need adjusting for your specific setup. So now we clean the Windows pipe, clean game settings, and now also we have EQ. Now let's talk about the hardware. And I'm not going to tell you what to buy, I want to change how you evaluate what you already have. Now two words the audio community uses that most gamers mix up: soundstage and imaging. Soundstage is basically how wide and spacious audio feels. Big soundstage sounds like speakers in a room. Imaging is how precisely you can pinpoint where a single sound is coming from. Exact angle, exact position. Now for competitive gaming, imaging wins every time. When you're looking at headphones or IMs, look for imaging performance, not big soundstage. Now if you're on wireless, check what kind. 2.4 GHz wireless with a USB dongle runs at 15 to 30 milliseconds of latency. Now that's completely fine, most humans can perceive that difference from wired. Now if you talk about Bluetooth though, it's 100 to 300 milliseconds, and that means you're hearing footsteps after the enemy is already on your screen. So I would never recommend to use regular Bluetooth for competitive play. Next, let's talk also about the DAC. Now I've covered this in a previous video, so I'll keep it short. If you hear hiss, buzz or a whine that changes with your frame rate, that's electromagnetic interference from your GPU leaking into your motherboard audio output. Now an external USB DAC bypasses that entirely, and it doesn't need to be expensive. Under like $20, you should solve the problem for most setups. Now if your audio is already clean and silent, you don't need one. And one thing the research made clear, the community that actually understands audio treats their headphones as dumb analog device. Plug them in, strip everything back to raw signal, and let the tools we already set up, your clean Windows settings, your game spatial engine, your EQ do all the work. The less your headphones own software touches the audio, the better. And before the final checklist, there is something about your hearing that changes how you should think about volume for all of this. So competitive shooters average around 85 to 91 decibels during gameplay. At 86 dB, your ears are safe for about 10 hours a week. Most competitive players do more than that in just like 2 days. And here is the connection. Your entire EQ approach we set up exists so you don't have to crank up volume to hear detail. You're boosting the frequencies that matter instead of making everything louder. And if you ever had like that ringing thing in your ears after like a long session, you know why. So here is the full checklist. You can pause, screenshot, fix everything right now. Now drop your current setup in the comments, headphones, DAC or no DAC, what game you play, and I'll tell you what to fix first. And if you want to see how your mouse settings might be holding you back, check out the next video.